How does it feel to be back hosting the Grammys for a second time? First of all, it's an honor. I mean, hosting the Grammys one time is a lifetime achievement. Hosting it twice is an opportunity to mess things up. So it's terrifying, it's exciting, it's an honor, and most importantly, I think it's a celebration because the first one was deep in the pandemic, and now cases are going down, people are getting back together, we're gonna have an audience, and I'm really excited to share it with people in the crowd. It's something I'm looking forward to. How will this year's show be different to last year? I think the biggest thing will be that we're back with an audience live. You know, obviously last year we couldn't do that. We had a scaled back show, which I actually enjoyed because, you know, we got to see a different side of the Grammys. Artists being the audience for other artists, you know, people being there to support each other in what they were doing through a really trying time for everybody in the world. So I hope that that element carries forward whilst also multiplying it by the joy of all the people who are in the room. So that's what this year's Grammy is going to feel like. It's going to be as intimate as last year's, but then with a certain air of relaxation that we didn't get the luxury of having last time around. You know, whenever people ask me which performances I'm most excited to see, I realize that my answers are always lies because I haven't yet seen the performances. So it's like I have ideas of who I think I want to see in my head, but then I'm always surprised on the nights. You know, last year was a great example of that. I had an idea of who I loved the most and who I wanted to see, you know, but then you get to the show and you see a rehearsal or you see a performance and you go, well, that's now my favorite performance of the night. And so, you know, there's moments like that that you don't expect. You don't know who's going to bring something out. You don't know who's going to do something different. You don't know who's going to roll out a giant bed and twerk on it. So, yeah, this year, I'm excited to see anybody on stage because I think that's what makes the Grammys amazing is it's basically, you know, the year's biggest all-round concert, everything. Country, hip-hop, you know, jazz, you know, whatever it is, everything on one stage, which is what I love. I love seeing the entirety of the performance, and obviously a big bed never hurts. John Batiste is a genius. That's what he is, you know? When you meet him, he doesn't come off like a genius. Like, I've met him a few times before, like, all the nominations, and then I met him after the nominations, and he was the same. And I don't know if he knows that he got nominated. Because if I got that many nominations, I wouldn't be the same person. I don't think anybody should be. You should carry a certain Grammy swag when you've got that many nominations. But I don't think anybody's told him. Yeah, he'll still be there, though. He's a very nice guy, and he'll probably win a lot. And then maybe then he'll change, but I don't know. Olivia Rodrigo was just like, you know, the star of the moment. I really admire and enjoy people like Olivia Rodrigo because they sort of serve as tent poles for time in music. You know, you go like, that was that era. You know, where were you when Britney was blowing up in that way? Where were you when the Backstreet Boys were blowing up? Where were you when Boyz II Men was blowing up? Where were you? You know, there's all these artists where like they have their moment, their time, their year, and whether they go on to become the biggest artists forever or not is almost irrelevant because they define a moment in time. And I think Olivia Rodrigo in many ways has defined this moment, and we'll always be grateful to her for getting us through a lot of the pandemic. I mean, what can you not say about Lady Gaga and Tony Bennett? One of the most iconic duos we've ever seen together. You know, it's two of the most beautiful voices you will ever hear performing together. It's been a surreal story and a journey, I think, watching the two of them form their relationship, you know, seeing how much love Gaga has for Tony and how much love Tony has for her, you know, and so I'm really excited because I think it's the culmination of two generational stories. You know, obviously Lady Gaga is in the midst of her rise, and Tony Bennett, we've gotten the pleasure of watching this man's career for our entire lives. And so, yeah, there's something bittersweet to knowing that this is sort of the end of a journey, but it's also the beginning of something new. So, yeah, I'm really excited and touched to see that. Mickey Guyton is going to be fun. We actually had Mickey Guyton performing on my show, I think. I don't know how many years ago it was. All I know is yeah, you know what it is? It's one of those performances where you come in not knowing how you're going to feel, and every time Mickey Guyton performs, you go, oh man, how was I not always a fan? You know? And there are performers like that who I love where they may not be on like the top of pop. They may not be the name where everybody knows them, but every time they perform, everybody unanimously across music genres goes, I'm a fan. Foo Fighters are legendary. You know, the Foo Fighters performing is like a time in history performing. It's like saying the Foo Fighters performing is like saying Apple is performing at this point. It's a brand, you know, it's an idea. I look forward to it because I always think of what it's like to see performers who've done this forever bringing something new that's also familiar to the stage. And so, whether it's the Foo Fighters, whether it's Run DMC, whether it's the Rolling Stones, whoever it is, it's a generation and it's a time. And then what's really cool is seeing all the young people being like, who are these guys? They're amazing. Man, I hope they do well in life. And that's always a great moment to watch in these performances. Why do I think a Grammy is important? It's, what it is this. Regardless of what type of artist you are, there is a certain recognition that you get from your industry and your peers that has almost as much weight as the love and adoration of your fans does. And so I think an award in a world where, producers are voting, songwriters are voting, singers themselves, performers, artists are coming together to vote. There's a recognition that comes with that I think in many ways, compares to the money, the fame, the success, and the adoration that you get from the outside world. There is something special, for that. And so for a new artist, it can be a validation that they're now in the club, they're now in the industry, they now are an artist. For an older artist, it can be the fact that we remember you, we see you, we still know you, we still love you. For some artists who don't get the top of the charts treatment, it is great for them to be on that stage going, yeah, I'm one of the best at what I do. It doesn't matter what the category is. And so I think that's something wonderful that the Grammys comes with, especially for fans as well. Because I find the thing that makes the Grammys different to all other to all other awards, doesn't matter if they're music or not, is the fact that the fans know the artist. They know the music. They know what's happening. Sometimes with movies, you'll be like, did you watch that? Did you not watch it? But music is everywhere. And so I think it's also a great moment for the fans to go, yes, that is my support encapsulated in a tiny little gold statue. Why do I think hosting The Daily Show translates into being a good Grammys host? I wonder. That's a really good question. I think maybe it's because we're used to working in a frantic environment. We're used to consuming a lot of information. Or maybe they just feel sorry for us. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe we're not good at hosting the Grammys. Maybe when you host a show that's all about politics and people are always fighting, people see you and they go, you deserve a break from the politics. Come and listen to some music for a night. Just relax. No politics, all music, have a good time. Maybe it's pity. Maybe that's what it really is. Hosting the Grammys with an audience, I almost feel like will be a little less nerve-wracking than hosting the Grammys without an audience. And I'll tell you why. When there's an audience, I get the comfort of knowing there are 15,000 fans plus one. So we're all seeing Lil Nas X. We're all seeing Billie Eilish. When there were no audience, when there was no audience, it was just me. So now I scream and then Billie Eilish looks at me weird. It's me alone. You scream in a group, you're fans. You scream alone, you're a stalker. And so I'm really excited because, it comes with an electricity and an energy that you get to feed off of. You get to partake in a collective feeling that's happening in the room. And so, last year was truly, truly special. But I think sharing that with people who've come out to watch the show is going to be equally special in a different way because that's what music is. It's people coming together to celebrate sounds that make us dance. We don't really understand why, but we do it anyways. So yeah, I'm really, really excited for it, especially to hear the people screaming and then obviously to muffle my own. I think the Grammys in Vegas is the perfect decision because think about it. That's where all artists want to go. You want to perform in Vegas. You want a residency in Vegas. Vegas is the hub of performing. We think about Celine Dion. We think about Britney Spears. We think about Usher. We think about all these artists who've gone there to almost go, it's only about the performance. What is Vegas without music? What is music without Vegas? Go back to the days of the Rat Pack. It doesn't matter what it is. Vegas has that electricity that ties itself into music as a whole. And so I think having the Grammys in Vegas is going to bring something special, You're going to have some artists who spent the whole week together because no one lives in Vegas really. So everyone's going to be on like a band camp, And then I think you're going to have some artists performing even harder, like pouring their heart and soul out because they lost a bit of money on blackjack. So I think that's a good combination, enough risk and reward. Do I have a favorite Vegas story? I do. The first time I came out to Vegas wasn't to perform at my own show. I was doing a friend's show, a fantastic comedian by the name of Ian Bagg. And he knew me from South Africa. He asked me to come and perform at a show in Vegas. And I remember getting there. I knew nothing about Vegas other than from TV. And so I knew there were casinos. I knew that. But nobody told me that in the summer, Vegas is basically inside an oven. And so I walked outside, and it was like that moment of like, wow, I'm in Vegas. And I was standing there, and I was like, wow, this is hot. This is terribly hot. And your eyeballs start baking a little bit. And then I didn't realize I'd been standing for too long, and my shoes melted to the sidewalk. And so like the soles of my shoes were singed, and they were like sticky. And so like I'm like schlopping back in to the casino, and then when I'm walking in, there's like parts where there aren't any carpets, like when you get into the elevators and stuff, and I'm trying to walk as seriously as possible, but my feet have like the best comedy soundtrack of all time. So I'm walking, and you see everyone around me is listening, because every step I take is like, you're just looking at people being like, it's a pretty hot day. So that's my first experience in Vegas, and luckily they've gotten better ever since. Oh, is there anything I learned from hosting last year that I'll be doing differently this year? Let me think. That's a really interesting one. I think last year I learned to greet artists with my elbow. I've now learned that we're back to handshakes a lot quicker than I thought. So this year, when I see some of the artists, I hope to choose the right form of greeting, because the elbow, when you do it wrong, can sometimes seem like you're turning away from the person just when you see them. Hey! And then that can be very rude. So I think that'll be the biggest thing I'll change. Other than that, no, I'm going to try keep it as intimate as it was last year. I'm going to try enjoy myself with the artists as much as possible. They are the biggest performers in the world. I am a comedian, so sometimes I go like, don't say anything that, gets to them. But I'm like, yeah, I'm a comedian. I was born to be in trouble. So let's see what happens.